Greg's Weekend Rental Season 2, Episode 3, Hot Take Special. We love doing these every 3 months. That's something like that. Every 3 months we read it in. We field questions. I mean, you can leave them on the thing right now if you want to, on the podcast, on YouTube comments. If you have a hot take you want to submit early for the next time around, by all means, put it in and we'll get to you next time around. But these are essentially things in the market or game collecting in general. Hot takes. Things that people might not agree with. That's the point here. You might not agree with some of the takes that come your way. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll just start off here. I think it's a split one on this first, but AI should grade instead of humans. Loose games are aesthetically more enjoyable to look at than graded. A little bit a twofer here. So should AI be doing the grading instead of a human?
That's interesting. I feel like with a flat item like a card, it's probably easier. With a 3D object where texture matters and the ability to distinguish between a repro and regular box, because there are pretty good high quality repros now.
Well, same with cards though.
Yeah, I guess so. But I feel like if you're dealing with sealed games, maybe it's a different story. Like AI could grade condition of that, but can they grade authenticity of a seal?
Well, okay, so let's say we do a human authenticity check. Then AI does the assessment. How about that?
Yeah, I guess that could work.
No, I mean, do you have an issue? What's your take? You grade stuff yourself.
If the technology is there, I personally don't have a major issue with it. But I'm just saying, I think with 3D objects, you're going to run into more setbacks than with something.
Well, I figure you just have to prop the item in such a way, then you get scans.
I guess so, yeah.
Is there any concaving difference? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This side bows in by 9%. Like over here, we have a divot. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like we're at a point where I don't know how much money it would cost to get an accurate 3D rendition of everything and like assess, both the wrap and the game and the box. And like, I don't know if that's expensive or even like plausible for a grading company to do something like that while still charging an acceptable fee to have stuff submitted. I guess that's where I would go with that. Like, I actually don't hate the idea of AI grading because I think it would add a lot more objectivity to the market. Obviously, I like the subjectivity of the gamble of it. It's fun. You never know. How's that grader feeling today? You never know. You might just get given gift, right? The gift of the grade.
Right.
But objectively, in this market and for collectibles, I think it would be a plus or a bonus for AI to actually do it and for the grade you receive to be locked. Like, if it's all AI grading, every single time you submit it, there should be no difference in what grade it receives. Because as it stands, even with something that should be objective, like centering should be objective with trading cards. It's not going to change. They have rulers, they have measuring tools. You can still go from a 9 to a 9.5 centering. That isn't subjective.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it would be overall a good thing. Don't know if we'll ever get it.
Yeah, at least not anytime soon.
Yeah, like cards have some companies mucking with it. They haven't caught on really at all. I know, like, I think Gary, King Pokemon, if you know who he is,
yes.
He was like pushing one of the AI companies, working with them, or you know what I mean? Doing something with it. AGS maybe? Tag? One of those companies. One of those 3 letters acronyms. I don't even know, but yeah. I think it'd be a good thing. Don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
Don't know if it'll ever be mass adopted.
Yeah, I think so. And I think if anything, if it's going to transition, it will be the companies that are already in play. It's not going to be like a brand new company that's like AI graders, because I feel like there's no trust there.
I agree. I don't think you can just pop in. And that's why I think these other ones didn't get any kind of up.
Yeah.
Because you have no market presence. You have no presence at all.
Yeah, you have no authority, really.
Trust. Yeah. Why do I want to send my stuff to you? That's cool. You have a scanner. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
yeah. And I feel like maybe if we get some kind of comprehensive scanning software where we can even like look inside a sealed box.
Did you see all the stuff with X-ray taking place?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. That's like the future, I guess. I don't know. Like, I know with like some of the video game stuff, WATA, CGC, I think they do implement X-rays as is to like check for reseals, check for certain things if they're unsure. I think they have an X-ray at their disposal to use. But yeah, like using it to check cards and stuff, packs, it's like, what are we doing out there? What is this hobby becoming?
Yeah, that's not what we signed up for.
The over-optimization of everything.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, loose games are aesthetically more enjoyable to look at than graded. Nah,
There is something to that where, I'm just thinking back on my own shelf, when I had like a nice lineup of mint
I think I
Super
would agree
Nintendo
with them
stuff.
10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, just like, I think my point is that the fact that graded stuff takes up so much more room. It's a little more
The
difficult.
trophy pieces.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
That's kind of how I see the difference. It's like, I can have a loose cartridge of Super Mario World, or I can have this like freaking like framed, graded, like
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the gaudy look of graded. I like the flash of it, the overbearing,
Yeah.
takes up the room.
Okay. Well, I guess if you like that, that's fine. Yeah.
No, hey, that's why you see it around me. Like I have, like cartridges and stuff are here. Like I have this little Ocarina of Time cartridge right here. Let's be honest, the graded one it's pulling your eyes in a little bit more.
Yeah, I think what I enjoyed sometimes was opening up my CIB stuff and just kind of looking at the manuals and all that kind of stuff. So I get it from that perspective. If it's sealed, yeah, it's a different story.
Yeah, purely aesthetic of just looking at it versus, the tactile enjoyment of leafing through a manual.
Mm-hmm. Hot take, all grading companies grade roughly the same and are prone to the same types of errors. Kind of ties into the AI thing.
I was going to say, grading companies are on discussion. Hey, I have one more for grading after, so I guess we'll just stake on a grading train.
Yeah.
All grading companies kind of grade the same, all prone to the same errors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's a hot take in 2024.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the difference is with VGA versus CGC and WATA because of the grading scale.
Yeah, that's the only actual difference that exists.
Yeah.
Is their assessment of the item. Yeah. But if you know what you're looking at and you understand the translation between the two systems, most damage and stuff is all rated the same across companies.
Yeah.
And companies will both be harder and lighter on stuff than arguably they should be. Yeah. So there's a little bit of nuance there, but I mean, I think for anyone who grades stuff at this point, that every company is kind of doing the same. You might be able to optimize a bit here or there, but like it's like cards.
Yeah.
You can learn what to look for and how to optimize the game we're playing, but for your common person submitting, they're all basically the same.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to understand the, as you said, the translation, really.
Yeah. And tribalism is the only thing you're going to hear. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
Some people are just going to like frickin' bend over backwards to defend some of these companies. And it's like, no, they're either all good or they're all bad because they aren't different enough for some to be good and some to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of my take on that.
They're a business. They're all out to make money. So
yeah, like you just like the one you like and that's fine.
That's fine.
But don't like, some people just go way too far with the, like this is the only grading company. Like PSA sucks, but CGC knows what. Come on.
Yeah.
They're doing the same stuff out there. You can use a plastic case instead of grading your game to protect them. Maybe a hot take on the grading side of the hobby, but it just feels like one of those justification comments where people who don't like grading look for any reason for you to not be able to enjoy it. You don't have to grade your game to protect it. Just get a plastic. Cool. I don't have to have a sealed game either.
No, exactly.
But I do. Yeah. And I enjoy it. And I'm going to get it graded too because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps protect it. That's cool. It's a cool little bonus to grading it.
Yeah.
I just want to do it. I just like it.
And there are very few people who will keep something forever. And grading is literally a way to make it easier to transact between each other in a more objective sense.
No, it helps so much for the $40 fee they're going to charge you, where it's like, oh, great, I can go buy a collector protector acrylic case for $24.99 plus shipping.
Yeah. But then you're going to have to rip it out of there and show me angles of every side of the game.
If you ever decide you actually want to get rid of it, like not only is the graded case more protective, you get shock-resistant blisters and a UV protection built in, like it helps everything after the fact as well. Yeah. And if you don't want to grade your stuff, don't grade it. But like, people just nitpick every reason for why you don't have to. Who cares? I'm just going to grade it because I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Period. That's it. I'm not looking to justify every freaking decision. I don't need sealed games. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One sale doesn't make the market. Just because one sells on Heritage for 8K doesn't mean it's worth 8K. One sale does not a market make.
Yes. What's your take? You can go first on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. In every hobby, there's going to be outliers. Someone just wanted something more on one day than another day. And it's really, I think the true test is going to be in the repeat. Will the next one do that well? Will it approach anywhere near the same? So I think as a buyer, And even as a seller, you have to be aware of that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, this Pokemon game sold for a ton, so I should do mine, but it might not make the same.
And that's what everyone jumps on immediately, right? You see a big sale on something and it's like, hey, I'm going to try and match that comp. And I think a lot of people do understand like that one sale is not the market, but there's also a lot of people who don't understand that or who are willing to gamble, I guess, that is the new price. And it's something that I echo a lot. It's something that Sean says a lot where like that game sold for that price that day. That does not mean yours will now sell for that price any time ever.
Yeah.
Your copy didn't sell for that. Because a lot of people are like, oh, it sold for $10,000. Now my copy is $10,000. Like that's not how it works. That's not the transition.
Yeah.
And that this goes far beyond graded stuff or sealed stuff too. This is regular market stuff as well, where a lot of people will even nefariously fake comps on eBay because people immediately start seeing it. And one big fake sale or whatever, it's like, oh, it sold for $150. Oh my God, like Concord is now super valuable. Like you could just fake $350 sales.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? People are immediately going to be like, oh, who cares about all the $90 sales? These ones were $150. So like we're going up.
Yeah.
It's like you said, repetition and the volume of sale is far more important than any single price point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think, where this does kind of come into effect a little bit is on the very rare games where sometimes the only comp you have
is one sale.
Is one sale from like 2 years ago. Sometimes that's just how it is. And that's all you can really hold on to.
And at that point, it's just buyer and seller. Like you guys can just
work it out.
Yeah. If someone's actually interested, you both just have to find a place that works for you.
Yeah.
Because there are no set prices.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And everyone collects different stuff at the end of the day. And someone might have needed that game on that day for their collection. They don't need it again.
Well, that person left the market.
Yeah.
It's with every auction too. Every time we see a super rare game sell, whoever bought it just left the market. But probably, I mean, they could still bid just to protect themselves or whatever, keep the price up. But in general, that person just left the market. That's going to affect auction prices the next time around, unless someone else enters in to do what that person did. Like, depending on the volume of stuff of this, of how popular it is, one person leaving can literally cut the price in half.
Yeah, well, the underbidders only wanted it for a lesser amount, so.
And if that other person isn't there, like two people could have pushed it. I think it was Paper Mario, 9.8 A++, $14,000 for the WATA copy. The CGC copy came up, 9.8 A++ as well. Now, it's WATA to CGC, I get it, but sold for $7,200. That wasn't even that big of a gap. So again, like it could just be the one person really wanted it, pushed it. Maybe they didn't want a CGC, but we see that a lot where the first one can do really, really, really well, but don't expect the next one to repeat.
Right.
So I don't think it's a hot take amongst people who are deep in the hobby.
Yeah.
But I think it might be something that people don't want to hear who are just trying to sell stuff. And there's a comp, there's the price.
Yeah.
Because I see card people complaining about this too, where even the same way, it's kind of the opposite, I guess, but they'll reference the last sale of something and be like, oh, there's the price, but there's none available to buy. And there's only their card on the market. So it's like, oh, last sale was $399. I'm the only card on the market at $549. And people will be like, oh, I'll offer you $350. The last sale was $399. You can't get it at that price. Mm-hmm. So you also don't have to match that price. Right. I will go here in a different direction. Get away from the graded stuff. The common stuff is more fun to collect than any, like, buying rare, expensive games. I know that's where a lot of this hobby goes to. The common stuff is more fun to collect. What do you think?
Well, it's easier.
It's certainly easier.
And that's something to be said on its own, for sure.
I feel like the common stuff gets such a bad rap. And that's not even in graded sealed, like just in general. Like the Call of Duties of the world, the Assassin's Creed, the Gears of War, Kingdom Hearts, Metal Gear Solid 2, like some great games. Great all-time classic games are worthless. They're like $10. And so a lot of people just like scoff at it, to be frank.
Yeah.
It's like that's seen as filler.
Yeah. Well, because you have, it's like the value is kind of determined by a, collective market. So it's like when you don't have that positive reinforcement of value, then it's hard to see that and spend more money for something, you know. So the stuff sits and just kind of decays in price over time.
Yeah, and like I had the same exact issue when I was doing sealed back in the day, is that I didn't want to buy the common sealed games. Mario 64. Wish I would have bought one. Super Mario Bros. Oval Seal.
Yeah.
That was seen as common.
You could buy so reasonably.
$300. They would just sit on eBay.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. Like oval seal, late print, factory sealed Mario Bros. $300, $500, up to $1,000 if you want a super nice one. And that was circa 2014, maybe 2015. Still had some value, but like it was common. There were over 100 of them. I think on the pop report, there might be over 200. Common. Quote unquote.
Yeah, that's really not that common.
Not that common, but if in a world where stadium events, myriad, you're chasing after this other stuff, I mean, who wants Mario Bros? That's boring. I'll buy one tomorrow. They'll be available. They'll always be there. And I think there's almost that sense of complacency with common stuff, where people just don't want to because it's like, I'll buy it tomorrow. You don't need to prioritize it at all. So you just, your brain doesn't appreciate it the same way.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. And I think part of me feels like the time for that is kind of gone now, because, the stuff that really escalated, and rightfully so, was the 80s, 90s stuff in cardboard boxes. The stuff that's cheap and common now, lying in CD cases, I just don't think it's not gonna have the same trajectory.
I don't think the prices are gonna move much on it.
But that doesn't mean it can't be fun.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think there is a lot of focus on that with gaming. So I know so many people will say like, "Oh, it's all about prices, it's all about prices, it's all about." But then everything in your collection is $30 and above, and it's like the price is kind of dictating where you go with this. Like, I just think even so, if you're chasing cheap stuff, you can get like chase condition. If you need some kind of extra qualifier in order to buy common stuff or for why it's fun, look for mint copies of Kingdom Hearts on PS2. That is not going to be easy to do because it was such a it's a game people ran through. People opened the manual. People did stuff with this. Look for mint black label CIBs. I think I saw in the GameStop video, it was like $8.99 or $7.99 they're charging for it. Try to find one mint. It's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
So if you need some kind of extra reason to care about common, look for mint.
Yeah. Actually, I had sort of a counter to this. I just want to see how it was worded. The common stuff is more fun to collect. For me, a lot of the fun in collecting has been the uncommon cheap stuff.
Chasing after. I mean, me too, but at that point, it's common versus cheap.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it's like a Venn diagram.
Yeah. I think, I guess when they say common, it means like inexpensive. But I guess a lot of the fun I've had in collecting has been like finding really rare, soundtracks and stuff like that. It's just, it's fun.
Yeah, cheap is fun.
Yeah.
Why isn't common seen as fun? I don't know.
Because it's not.
I think because in your brain, it doesn't matter.
Well, it's too easy.
Yeah.
It's instant gratification. It's not like, you don't have this chase that leads to something. It's just like, there it is. It's easy.
It'll be there tomorrow.
It'll be there
on
tomorrow.
eBay.
It'll be there for the next
No.
foreseeable future.
Common needs some better, more oomph to it. Because even on Reddit game collecting, someone will post like Call of Duty, Gears of War, Assassin's Creed, and it's like, oh, you're an idiot.
They're like, you're a filthy casual.
Yeah, whatever. There's stigma around it, man. Like if you like common games or popular stuff, like it's like, Jesus Christ, why? When did this? Why? Stop doing that. We all don't have to collect JRPG and horror.
You can't win if you're collecting expensive stuff. You can't win if you're collecting cheap stuff.
If you collect too cheap, you're just seen as an
general.
idiot.
Yeah, that's right. You just can't win in general.
My gosh.
Ugh. Genesis is greater than NES.
That's nuclear. Nuclear hot. Like
nuclear.
Yeah, like you can't even like maybe if you're just playing the games really from a playing perspective. Did he put any other caveats on there?
No.
From a playing perspective, I would probably sit down and play Genesis before I play NES.
Yeah.
From a collecting perspective, absolutely not. Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't even consider collecting Genesis before NES.
From a playing perspective is difficult in competition because they're different generations.
I know. You're going up all the way. Like Genesis could simply do more.
Yeah.
Just you're compared against the NES, right?
Yeah, that's a difficult comparison. So what about collecting wise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not even close to me. Like on Genesis, man, there might be 10 or 15 games that I genuinely want in my collection. I grew up with the Genesis. I collected probably 200 CIBs. If you put in a choice between NES and Genesis, it isn't even close for me.
Yeah. CIB especially because Genesis is much more durable.
Yeah.
You know, the
manuals are the chase on Genesis, funny enough.
Yeah.
Because every box survived.
Yeah, right.
So manuals are the harder piece because they fell out.
Exactly. They fall out and they're like pronged in there and, you know.
They're all torn up or just missing.
Yeah.
Manuals are a chase. It's fun. It's
That's
a
right.
different. It's just different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would choose NES for sure. I think the cardboard is more interesting. But you know, when I think about like sealed product, there was someone who's selling a bunch of like really rare titles on eBay.
For Genesis or
for Genesis, and it was not necessarily highest grades, but you know, a lot of these things only have like 2 copies or something, and even then they barely moved the needle. It's like if you don't have a dedicated fan base going for like the really rare obscure stuff, it's a tough sell.
Yeah, and I don't know who new is coming into Genesis. Like, I just don't know how you.
It's just not relevant anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
how do you get a new person to go back and like even on Sega's history outside of Sonic?
Yeah, Sonic is still doing very well.
Oh yeah, Sonic's doing great.
But like Sega, as a game company, what have they done really besides new Sonic games, which have been okay?
Yeah,
just okay.
I'm glad Sonic exists. I want Sonic to exist, but like,
me too.
It's tough sell. Sega Genesis, tough sell for new people.
Yeah,
very tough sell.
Yeah, but man, Genesis had some great artwork too.
Genesis was great. Yeah. Like I said, if we're talking playing, I'll sit down and play Genesis. I don't like that many NES games.
Yeah.
Like, NES isn't that fun. Maybe that's a hot take. But like,
oh, here we go.
Yeah. Like, we started on that. Like, NES just isn't all that fun to sit down and play. But we'll go. You had something, I think, regarding the pedigrees.
Hot take. Pedigrees should not be stupid. And the representative example is the Dubai collection.
And I think my recent one here also plays on that. A little bit strongly worded here. Mine says the recent Pokemon Red 10 and Yellow 10 grades are complete BS. They didn't say BS, though. They went all in. So those are also part of the Dubai collection. 2 collectors out of Dubai who had been collecting games for, I think it said the past 15 years or so. Big collection they have. Lots of really nice stuff. Was given a pedigree recently of the Dubai collection. All their stuff graded, pedigree labels. The big spot, like, it's funny because there's, I think, NWC Gold. There's like 3 NWC cartridges. Like, this collection has a lot of amazing stuff in it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the stuff that caught headlines, though, or what really stood out, was a Pokemon Red became a WATA 10.0 grade, and a Pokemon Yellow got the 10.0 grade. Both of these games prior were 9.8 A++. These are the only. There's 3 total Game Boy games that have ever been given a 10.0 across the entire WATA's history. And the other one is Donkey Kong Land 3, which is case available, case fresh. I think there's 179.8s and 110.
Wow.
Pokemon Red and Yellow are now the only 10s with like 4 9/8s each.
Right.
It just doesn't seem coincidental, man. At some point, you just gotta call it what it is. And I think that's where a lot of this animosity is coming from, where you get this new pedigree, and both these Pokemon games became 10s. When you guys haven't given out 10s ever, doesn't feel like coincidence to me.
It's tough. Yeah, I do remember one of the comments being that it was a lot of money to get it re-examined for potential grade change.
Mm-hmm.
So I do know that was a big thing. Also with pedigrees, when I think about comic collections, the pedigrees were usually collections that had been curated over a very long period of time and were still with the original person, you know, at the time of their passing, or, you know, were found by their family, or
yeah, a little bit more organic in how they're.
It's a little more organic, yeah.
Yeah. Because this feels like, you know, okay, they've collected games for a long time. That's great. You know, everyone in this hobby has. They have a lot of great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, NWC is like
no question.
Grail stuff.
Yeah.
But the actual story or reason just feels like I could go apply for a pedigree if that's all we need. I've been collecting games for 15 years. I got a bunch of sealed stuff, some one-of-one stuff. Like, give me the Greg collection then. Like, what is the what's the qualification here?
Yeah.
is my thing. Is it just that they have really nice stuff? Like,
Yeah.
it just, and then you get the bumps on top of it where it's like, why does it really given a pedigree in the first place? And then you got two 10.0s on Grails on bumps during the process? Just feels weird, man.
Yeah,
it just feels weird all across the board on it.
It's tough to deal with the optics.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, the optics of it all suck. Yeah. Maybe those games both deserved 10. Maybe back when, Dennis was doing it and stuff, they were gatekeeping 10s and these were actually perfect games. They should have got a 10 all along. Maybe. Could
it's possible.
be.
Yeah.
But you combine this with the pedigree where it's like, what? And then you get the upgrades. It's like, what? Only 3 ever given out? Ever? No one's getting 10 still. Like, it's still not common. You can, like, the thing is, right, with the optics of all this and the upgrades and stuff, I feel insanely confident that if you were to break these out and submit them again, you wouldn't 10. That's my biggest issue with it. Like, I feel confident that I can submit mint stuff and still not get 10s. Like, 10s are not common still. They are not. They're using it more than they used to. They absolutely are.
Right.
But they still are not giving them out. And the whole thing just looks bad. Even if it's fully justified, the way it all went about.
Yeah, just the way it's presented.
It just looks awful. And I don't know how both the Dubai collection and WATA could have expected any other kind of feedback or what people to think. People track the 9.8 A++. Everyone knew these were crosses as soon as they were posted. That these were just upgrades. Feels fishy, man. Just feels bad. You leave a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
As someone else who submits and stuff. It's like,
yeah.
are people getting favoritism?
Right. It's I feel like
why should I bother if other people just win?
Yeah, I see what you mean. And I feel like something like Dallas Fort Worth makes a lot of sense as a pedigree, because it was someone who was collecting these things at a time when they were not seen as valuable items at all or coveted items.
They just bought them because they liked them.
Yeah, and they kept them really well, and they were there until the end.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense as a pedigree. There's a great story there. This is just, as you said, it doesn't really feel organic.
It feels like me or you could have a collection then. And I know we can't.
Yeah.
So I don't know where do we just need to spend more money? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it's
right. Is it a money game?
If I bought a couple NWCs and stuff and then submitted some prototypes and everything, and I was like, oh, like I bought those in the past 3 years, but here's my Greg collection. And
yeah, if it's like not an original first owner collection, it's tough to slap a label on it and say, why is it important?
Yeah. Because at that point, it's just curation through the years of you being a collector, which literally all of us do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pedigrees are interesting. I've talked about them before that I don't really care, so it doesn't matter. Like, okay, it says Dubai collection. I don't care. I'm not going to move the needle for me, but optics are optics, man, and not a great look overall.
It's funny, in Heritage, they had a big art sale recently, and it was a single owner collection, Roger Hill.
Okay.
And he collected all this horror art from like the 50s, like pre-code horror type covers, like a lot of the most famous covers. And he had curated and kept this collection up until the time of his death, sold very little of it during his lifetime. And it's all coming up for auction now and fetching these ridiculous prices.
Yeah.
500, 600,000 for these like pre-horror covers. God. Yeah. Yeah. So like, getting a piece of art from the Roger Hill collection, it's like, yeah, that was someone who like bought it and kept everything, at a time when it wasn't popular or valuable.
Yeah, well, some of the stuff is labeled like Mark Friedman collection. When we see some Turtles games come up and stuff, and it's like those were his personal copies he kept over the years from being involved with Turtles.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. Or like from the offices of John Madden. Someone like that. There's a lot of reasons and a lot of history that does matter. I think they got to be careful with pedigrees going forward, because I think this is a massive flub or a stain on them, even with how they handled the Dubai collection. Personal opinion.
Fair.
I'm on board with that.
That's fair.
But I'll take a different direction here. Something a little bit more fun, a little more lighthearted. Super Mario 64, 9.8 A++ is still worth $250,000.
Probably.
That's where I'm at too.
Yeah.
Like, I know it sounds like a hot take, but like, probably.
Does anyone want to take the chance and actually test that theory? Maybe
there was
not.
a new one made. I don't know if you saw.
Yes.
There's 4 of them now.
Yeah, I saw it in
There
SGC.
was one new 9.8 A++ created in the past 3 years since the whole sale set the world on fire. Is anyone going to take the chance to auction one?
Yeah, that's tough. Man, I remember passing on a 85 plus Mario 64 for like $1,500. I'm like, oh.
Too common for you. Don't want that common
Yeah,
trash.
again,
Don't want that.
Yeah.
I'll buy it tomorrow.
That's
like
I'll buy it tomorrow.
Mario 64. I need Worms Armageddon. Now that's a game.
That's right. Yeah, that one will be a future.
Yeah, that's the grail because like it's rare.
Yeah, that's right.
And like genuinely, that's probably where your brain was at.
Yeah, yeah. And same thing with Secret of Mana. When I had the chance to buy one sealed and I passed on it because there just was no comps. I was like, this just feels like a few $100s too much. It's like,
It's probably like 2,200 or something. Or do you
no, it was like 1,500.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was raw.
Yeah, of course.
Understandably, I'd never graded anything at that point. It was before the boom, way before the boom.
I figured at a $1,500 price tag, it has to be like 2016, maybe 17.
Yeah, 17, 18, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's just so much regret in that. Just, and of course, I own Super Bowling CIB. Oh, great! Like
that's a treasure. Yeah,
it's cool, but at the end of the day, like chasing rarity for rarity, I wish I would have just bought a lot more stuff that I genuinely resonate with.
Yeah, important first party stuff.
Yeah, that I care about.
Classic RPGs, and I love Secret of Mana. It's like, man,
yeah, I know, right? Like,
just put it on a credit card.
Thank God I bought like Majora's and Ocarina and stuff. Like, I bought some stuff, but a lot of stuff I wish I still owned. But I think the closest comparable to Mario 64 9.88++ was the Super Smash Bros. Sale. It came up for auction. I think it went for like 94,000. Which, like, if Smash 64 is still bringing 94,000, it only ever peaked at like 228, I think. Down 60% or so. But I think Mario 64 has to go over $200,000 still.
Yeah. For top grade.
Yeah, for the top grade copy.
Yeah.
I think it still probably climbs over 250.
Yeah, I would think so. It seems like a reasonable guess.
Yeah, it just does. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's worthless, common, but like, sorry guys, still gonna sell for $200,000.
It's one of the greatest games of all time, let me tell you.
Yep.
Here's a VGA spicy one. The reason VGA games tend to be worth more is their website is so bad, still, that anyone willing to go through the process deserves a few $100 extra after it's over.
That's so
Tell me what you feel.
Perfect. Oh my God. Yeah, like obviously VGA's website is better. It is. It is infinitely better than what they used to have. Other like 2 years ago, you're still pen and papering stuff. Like it was, I think you could do an online PDF fill out or something, but like it was awful, man.
It's awful.
Genuinely, the one thing I got like the most with any grading when I was making more like tutorial videos or how to submit is like how do you submit with VGA? How do I do this? I tried the website and I literally just gave up.
Yeah.
Like the amount of comments and DMs I got of that, man, was a lot. And I know some of the old heads will be like, oh, well, we're keeping them people away. If you can't figure it out, you don't deserve to grade. It's like, no. Like, no, this is a VGA problem.
This is clearly a company who does not care about grading games at all.
This is a VGA issue. This is not a people issue. This is a VGA issue. The website's better.
It is better.
It is. It's way
Absolutely.
better.
It looks like it's from the 20th century at least,
And submitting, honestly, I'd say now isn't even that hard. Like with the VGA, it's like, it still could be a little bit streamlined or more. They just should make a fact page. Make a how-to. Make a little how-to video. That's all they need. Throw that on the side. 2 minutes, just walking people through the process. But it's easy enough now. But I think that meme will always hold.
Yeah.
But I would say it's easy enough now to where, people can submit.
Yeah. And how do you feel about them tend to be worth more? Is that accurate?
Nah. Highest grades maybe, but that's it.
Yeah. Like the very upper, like 90 and above.
The uppest. It's like BGS in my way, is how I see it. Where
right.
Like BGS 10, great premiums. 9.5s even, solid premiums. But then, you go to the BGS 9 or the BGS 8.5 or a VGA 80 and it's like.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I agree with that because I've like, I remember looking at this Street Fighter. It was a VGA 85.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looked awful. Like there's like a giant seal poke in the back and like blunted corners. I'm like, how is this anywhere near 85? Like that's the problem with a single point grade system is you have incredible inconsistency between two same grades.
Yep.
Because I've seen 85s that look great and could easily be gold, like 85 plus. And then I've seen 85s that just look like trash. And I'm like, how is this? It's not accurate. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is so. No, nothing outside of the top grades, I would say, gets a premium with VGA.
Yeah.
It just VGA has lost adoption in the market. They might like some of their lower grade stuff might start to sell for more of a discount.
Right.
They don't focus on game grading. That is not their bread and butter. It's not their bugaboo.
Yeah.
They care about toys.
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
At the end of the day, they care about toys more than they do games. That's where they push their focus. That's where they get big sales.
Yeah. I guess you have to ask, why should we care then? You know.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing anything to push the hobby, give new info. Like, it just...
Yeah, it's a two-way street for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more here on my end. It's the same 5 people buying super high-end stuff. Everything else is pretty flat.
Could be.
So, like, Facebook posts, Sealed Games Club posts. I mean, there are the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Make no mistake.
We know the whales for sure.
We know the whales. The issue is, like, I don't disagree with him in that sense. Like, when it's publicly posted, like, Ryan Main bought the NWC Gold. We know that he buys expensive stuff. That is not a surprise. Even Ramen Bird, Robin Danju buys expensive stuff. We know this. He just had the 9.8 A++ realistic violence. Like, we know some of these people in the hobby now who do this, and every time there's a big auction, they might post some stuff up. But the issue I have with this take here is you just don't know where 95% of the sales went. Every auction, every big high-end auction has like 250 games. We might see 5 of them get posted. Which, yeah, it is the same 5 people publicly posting, but we don't know how many new bidders entered. We don't know how many new purchasers there were, first-time buyers, first-time bidders. All of that is unfortunately private.
Yeah, there are plenty of black hole collectors who are just not active.
Literally, though, some of the people that I talk to, DM, Patreon, and stuff, are massive collectors and like bidding on stuff in the 100,000 range.
They're not on Facebook.
And they will never talk to you. You will never know they exist. Like you said, they're not on Facebook. Like, the notion that a lot of collectors are public is not accurate.
It's not true at all. Yeah.
No. Like, what you see on Instagram or Reddit or whatever, that's a sliver of the hobby. And yeah, that is not at all. Most people who, at least people who spend a lot of money, are private.
Yeah, yeah. And this, this is not uncommon in every other hobby as well. The top selling comics, top selling cards, artwork. A lot of this stuff goes into black hole collections.
Yeah, you hear about some of it. The fact that we heard about the NWC Gold sale was incredible. That it was someone in the community who felt like sharing.
Yeah.
Because every other NWC sells, and we have no clue where it goes. Yeah. That Zelda sold for $288,000 last time around. No clue where it went. This one just sold for $400 or whatever. No clue where it went.
Mm-hmm.
The vast majority of stuff you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah. And
that's why it makes it so easy for conspiracies too.
Yeah.
It's because you don't know where it goes. So then it's like, Heritage just bought it themselves.
It's easy to invent a story when you don't know anything.
Yep. Exactly. And that's why it's nice when stuff is shown. Also,
like, the relative rarity of some of this stuff. It doesn't take many people bidding to create an active market, just because of, the population of a lot of this stuff. So, like, Zelda, when there's like, how many are there? 8 to 9?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Maybe 7, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
It keeps going up.
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be a case back one of these days.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Yeah. So, in reality, it doesn't take that many people to create a market like that. A handful, really.
Yeah.
So, considering CGC's activity, it's peculiar they don't have pops for games yet.
Oh, man. I don't even think, again, I don't think that's a hot take. I think it's where the hell are CGC's pop reports?
Right.
Like, I think that's
the
where it's
second
at.
part of this
Okay,
is it's peculiar how now CGC doesn't have pops and they get heavy consignments. Is that marketing?
Oh, man, that is interesting, actually. Because, the whole Dallas-Fort Worth collection, that pedigree went through CGC.
Mm.
And I do think that there is, like, we've reached a point. We've reached this point a long time ago where it is not okay that they are getting these massive, massive games that we're all like, oh, it's Pop 1. Like, that's Solomon's Key Hang Tab. And CGC still is not publicly sharing these pop reports. Whilst they have these sales of $25,000, the Zelda, $400,000 on the Zelda. That might be the most expensive CGC game ever sold, actually. I didn't even think about that. I think that probably is.
Yeah, you might be right.
And we still don't have public pop reports. We still have everyone guessing as to what CGC's graded before. And I think that is crazy.
It's weird because clearly they have the infrastructure. Like, you can look up the comic census at any time.
Yep.
You just need to make an account. So, yeah, why isn't it out there yet? It's weird.
I don't know if they just need public pressure. Like, I remember when WATA, everyone was like, where's the pop reports? Like, did we just need pitchforks to go at CGC? Like, it's pathetic to say that, but
They're
like,
too busy dealing with lawsuits and comic bendgate. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, they did. Yes, I did.
Oh dear.
It angers me. That's where I'm at with CGC and the pop reports. I'm angry about it, and I don't think it should come to the point of, hey, everyone watching this podcast, go email CGC and ask where their pop reports are, because where the hell are they? Yeah, it shouldn't take public outcry to get something that should be. I mean, CGC promised these almost on launch. They were like, oh, we'll have pop reports. Because again, everyone was like, when there was so much heat on WATA, it was like, we'll have pop reports. We'll be the grading company with pop reports. Where are they? It's been like 2 years.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. It's pretty peculiar.
Peculiar.
If that's the word they want to use.
Yes.
I would use the stronger words, but it certainly is peculiar.
I'll just imagine what those stronger words will be.
Exactly. Family podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Let's keep it PG here.
Yeah. That was great.
That was spicy.
I always love it. It's always good. And you know, again, if you're listening and you have hot takes you want to get in for the next one, it can be about gaming, it can be about the market, collecting in general. Yeah, of course we get sealed and graded questions. It's a lot of the audience we have, but it can be about normal collecting as well. Like that is fully. If you have a hot take about normal collecting, you think Dreamcast is going to be the big console of 2030, let us know. Drop a comment on YouTube, drop a fan mail.
That's spicy.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Like, I'm sure there's someone out there who's sitting on, we talked about Genesis.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's someone out there who's like, Genesis, man, it's coming. It's
Someday
gonna
these are going to be worth a lot of money.
Did they do a mini Genesis console?
Yes.
There you go, right? So
I sold mine.
Did you make money?
Yes. I bought it brand new and I left it brand new.
There
I'm
we
like,
go.
I'm not playing this
I think
thing.
those took years, the Genesis Mini, to become more valuable. Yeah. Because I don't think it sold nearly as well at retail.
Yeah, and the PlayStation one was an abject failure.
Yes. Yes. I think they priced it too high.
Yeah,
Wasn't it like
they
priced
did.
higher than every other one?
Something like that,
Because
yeah.
I remember seeing it on sale for like $49.99. I was like, what? That's a sale? But I still don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
It still seems expensive, but
Yeah.
on that note, you guys, thank you for listening, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.